about ACL happened here. And so the idea was to get people in this group, because we were usually people that come here usually go to Music Fest or at the very least concerts, but understand enough. Let's see what we can come up with. So we did this before with concert venues.
Yes.
And that was super interesting. Somebody who came to another meetup said he was tasked with figuring out what to do with monetizing and using the space in concert venues when there's no concerts. And so we just kind of sat and thought about it for a while. I don't remember but there were some good ideas.
Yeah.
Karaoke.
I don't think we did karaoke. Most of the stuff that I remember was during the day to use it for kids. So like bringing kids during, I don't remember, but anyways. So what we'll do is, this is very informal, so feel free to shout out, shoot down, whatever, collaborate on ideas. But we'll start by talking about what are some common and I'll write this up down on the board. Frustrations with festivals, and that could include the festival experience. We have somebody who knows the kind of the business side of it, or the putting it together, artist side, whatever. So I'll start to kind of kick off the process. I'll say one of the things that I find super annoying about festivals.
Why don't you break it in columns for like what side it's on?
Oh, I just don't know. Yes, that's a good idea if we had planned that far out of like of categories. Getting through security. And we actually had a startup here who their technology was facial
so cool.
recognition. Yeah, it was
Walking
facial
pace.
recognition, and you opted into their system, and in the blink of an eye would know that it's me, and I would ideally be pre-screened or whatever, so I could just walk into the venue. But at this one, and it happens every year at ACL and at South by, which is still, everyone has to go individually through, and they grab your bag and they don't even look at it, and they just keep it going. So anyways, that's a major friction point for me. I don't know what the solution is, but we can talk about that. Anybody else with anything that comes just top of mind?
Well, cost.
Oh,
That's the
cost,
first.
okay, yep.
Drinks and food. Sun.
Did somebody say the sun?
Heat.
Yes,
Yeah.
heat?
The environmental problems that you have.
Yeah, we'll put environment.
Wait, what's the drinks and food one? What's the problem with that?
Waiting in line.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, lines really.
So that could go under a bigger category of crowd control, or just crowds, or just overcrowding. I guess. It's something.
Yeah, we'll put,
Yeah.
for now, we'll do it here. Crowd control.
Is similar bathroom lines.
Oh, we'll put there over here, bathroom. Oh, by the way, this Kaboot Festival, one of the things that they said on their ticket was, we take the bathroom like really seriously, like we don't want the bathroom that was like a big part of like their mission statement, and it was like the nicest bathroom I've ever been, festival bathroom I've ever been to.
Were they porta potties?
No, they were porta potties as far as like, they weren't normally there, but they were huge. They were super well air conditioned, super clean. Anyways.
Transportation.
Oh yes.
Parking.
I heard parking as well.
Emergency services.
What's the problem with emergency services?
I don't know. I've seen just having trouble getting to people that need help.
Oh, okay.
That are like in the middle of the crowd.
Okay. Anything else? I would like to hear some from you. You're kind of on the putting together the festival side. Anything that comes out to you about?
Yeah, hiring people that will draw enough that you can afford.
Okay.
Sorry,
you're
Colin.
saying something too.
I was gonna say, living in Austin, I know that there are a lot of festivals that happen that aren't South by or ACL, and there are a lot of small ones that are in outlier, cities. And I don't know, maybe it's just on me, but I don't know how to find them. Or I see a poster, just randomly on the
I
street.
see. Marketing.
Yeah, maybe somewhere like a hub where I know all the festivals that are like in my area.
So that's kind of the dominance of specific festivals, right?
Yeah.
Because,
And if maybe, you know, there was a place where I, you know, a website or something where I could register to go to Festival A, Festival B, Festival C, all in one go, you know, that'd be really nice for me.
it's kind of a South by Southwest problem too, because
Yeah.
that's become the default.
It sucks up all the oxygen.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just similar to hiring volunteer reliability.
Okay. Oh, that's different. Spelling that? I'll add another one that's kind of, but the location itself. This may be more for the planners and the goers, but it may be either. Anything else? Was there another one over
I
here?
mean, sound quality, maybe.
Oh, sound.
And getting a good view for the acts you wanna see. Sometimes you have people waiting for like the headliners, making a bigger crowd during the day, so if you wanna go to somebody who's not that time, you know.
That made me think of something. You know how Google Maps has like heavy traffic flow, low traffic flow based on, you know, the color. You know, maybe it'll show what the crowd is like at a specific, you know, stage, so that way you know, oh, I can get here at this time, so that
Oh.
way I get a good spot.
That's how, okay, that may be more on the ideas and put it over here. That's almost like Waze. I don't know what the Waze, I'll put crowd.
Because everyone wants to be at the front, but you know, if you get there too late, you're gonna be, you know, 1,000 people away.
Right, exactly, yeah. There's, well, actually, they do that at South by. I was trying to think, I've seen something like this before. At the South by Southwest app has something where it's kind of like green light, yellow light, red light.
Yeah.
And it's like if something is too full, you don't even waste your time walking
Oh,
over there,
I
yeah.
didn't know. Must
Alex,
have been a good
anything from
idea.
you on this side of the board? Bless you. Really either. Bless you.
Right.
Okay. One thing that, I don't know if it's really a problem, but it was kind of annoying. I don't know if you guys, at this Kaboo Fest, it seemed very like Frontier Airlines, where there was an opportunity for an upsell for everything. So it's like if you wanted a slightly better line, you paid extra. If you wanted to sit slightly better seats, you paid extra. It was like really, I'm sure that they're just trying to do it for their, oh, this is one that we didn't put in for revenue. This would be for the business side. And then for users, I'll put Frontier Air.
Sponsorships. let's see.
Upsells.
Well, somebody said something.
Sponsorship.
Oh, sponsorships, that was it. And I assume this would be finding sponsorships.
Yep.
How about, I'm thinking of something like quality of acts, where maybe you have one really good act, and this is all subjective, of course, but,
Yeah.
you know, you have a lot of acts that aren't very, you know, aren't good.
I'm gonna expand on that, which is, it seems that recently, a lot of the festival lineups are exactly the same. So maybe, well, let me put down acts. You were paying, good versus bad. I'm gonna put two somewhere. Cause this is something that I noticed for Kaboo. I was like, oh, none of the bands here, I haven't heard of anyone playing at any other festival, and that's something that they take pride in.
Yeah.
Which is they pick genres, so their thing is classic rock and alt rock. And that's it, they just pick a lane and they stick to it.
Yeah, it is kind of, it's always a problem, the only times I've been to Coachella, it's always a problem because there's a bunch of bands that you might like that you may not know very well, but they're also all playing at the same time,
Yeah.
so you can't get to see them either.
Yeah,
So
that's a good one,
For
the
the bigger
schedule.
festivals, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And then also, how do you find, what's a good way to,
And Discovery, I assume?
maybe, yeah.
Yeah, we need like AI to build our.
Yeah, recommendation, like a recommendation one.
Our act recommendation.
South by does that one. The South by app does it too. Yeah, where you start favoring stuff or like starring it, and it starts after a while. It starts feeding you. Oh, you may like this or you may like that.
Maybe grouping similar genre bands in, specific areas of the festival.
Yeah.
That way if I wanna see a rock band here and then see another rock band, I don't have to go all the way across the,
But if
the
you
venue.
are interested in seeing diverse bands, then you do have to go.
Yeah,
further
you do
across
have to
the
run
list.
around.
One thing, that I've seen done is, the same band will play twice, like at different, one.
The same band, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So one time on one day and a different time on another day, so you don't feel like you're as frustrated not getting to see them.
Okay. Anything else over here? This side of the board's getting kind of full. Then we can start looking at these and thinking about how can we fix these.
Yeah, one more thing about the festivals,
Yeah, go for it.
negative side of it. I think a lot of festivals kind of get diluted with the actual festival goers being less interested in the music than it just being kind of it becomes less about the
scene?
music than an Instagram worthy event.
Social outing.
How would we even
like the
describe?
social
I know what you're saying, but
experience.
how would we describe that?
I mean, I also feel as though it kind of ties in with the acts that you have. If you have acts that are commonly playing on these other festivals, it just becomes a circuit of Instagram-worthy event to go
Yeah.
to. Whereas like something like Luck Reunion is like a little bit more off the beaten path, is kind of curated for people that are genuinely interested in the music itself.
I'll put here too many Insta stars. I don't know how else to say this. That's totally true.
It's not necessarily bad for the business, but it's
Yeah.
It just adds a weird cultural.
At
thing.
Kaboo, well, this ties with this, with the sponsorships, because at Kaboo at least, I can only speak for that, because that was top of mind. The sponsors, for the most part, was kind of like South by, where they did really creative activations. So they had these big plots where they had all these funky stuff, giveaways and raffles, and they were drawing in all these people. And I assume that's how they made extra money because, but I agree that it kind of dilutes the music vibe, of not the vibe, but it kind of really makes it so like, oh, okay, well, this is just a hangout, which is fine, but I know what you're saying and I agree.
Sorority girls on the shoulders of fraternity bros.
Oh, that would be under crowd control.
Very specific thing.
I don't even know how to say that one.
Say it exactly.
Fratastic?
Well, that's kind of similar to the Instagram one because it's.
Yeah,
on the
those,
quality-
these two are related.
Yeah.
And the good view.
Fantastic chicken
I
fight?
didn't wanna-
isn't
Yeah,
it?
chicken fight, there you go.
Fan culture, maybe call it fan culture, something like that.
We're gonna go with fratastic chicken fight. You're right, that's the way you said it, but. But
I
it's
guess
true.
on the heat environment one is the rain and the mud.
Yeah, that's what we put environment. We'll just put, I guess we can just put weather, that way it's clear.
Love that ACL mud pit.
Yeah, one of the better ACL moments that I went to was Kings of Leon when they headlined and it was like a thunderstorm and they canceled the next day, but everyone was really into it that night.
What was the reason for the Woodstock anniversary not happening?
I don't know.
Was it something?
Yeah, I think they just
That
didn't
was
get
the-
It
enough.
was just, yeah, like,
Oh, yeah.
logistics and organization,
Yeah.
not very good, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we good on the, now we can actually review these and start, and if anything else pops up, we can add to it, but I guess what would be interesting is to see where like for example, crowd control Instagram sponsorships are all related, directly or indirectly. So anyways, do any problems stick out as potentially, or as particularly strong as far as there's a good opportunity for a new, some of this is just out like the Fratastic chicken fight, that's us just kind of bitching at the crowd, but I don't know if there's what we could really do from a business perspective or new product. Maybe there's something. Am I blocking you? Okay. But does anything here stand out as potentially interesting for new product or services?
Well, what are the pain points that need to be solved, otherwise the festival wouldn't happen?
Here. Revenue, sponsorships, those are the sponsorships, revenue, marketing, and hiring, to me seems like it's kind of related to the acts as well, but
From the business side or from the consumer side first?
he was saying from business, like what has to, without these things, there is no festival.
Right.
Volunteer reliability falls into that too.
Volunteer, so I would put hiring, volunteer, sponsorships, revenue, acts,
And
marketing, hiring, drinks and food. It's really just lumped under monetization for the most part. So from the, hey, how's it going?
Wi-Fi?
Wi-Fi?
Festival would require Wi-Fi.
Oh, sorry.
Connect with each other. And
Yeah, that's a good one.
it's very tough to communicate,
Yeah.
through cell phones because there's so many people. And so usually when I go to festival, I'm expecting that if I lose someone, that it's gonna be hard to find them because.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, how do people, right now, how do people get around that? I don't have a good answer. It's like, what's that?
Like,
Yeah, the totem.
Yeah, we just say like if we get separated, meet here.
I guess I'm curious from a business perspective,
Yeah.
what is the potential for getting more people to these festivals? Is there someone, or is there a number in the potential of how many more people we could actually get? Because the festivals are so crowded now,
Right.
is there actually potential to make a significant dent in how?
Good
people-
question. Depends on the festival.
Through virtual, you could offer a virtual ticket.
That was kind of an idea for the
Oh, yeah.
venues, yeah.
I feel like they try to set, they would set the limit of the tickets as many people as they could safely pack in there already, so,
Right.
yeah.
Has anyone done a VR or AR concert? I haven't either.
I haven't heard of it.
I have friends that have.
At ACL a few years ago when Samsung was still a sponsor, they had the lounge and you could put on the headset and see like last time Mumford headlined and, so that's the most I've ever done.
Yeah, did you try it? Was it cool? Was it different?
Yeah, it was different and pretty cool. I mean, they had the cameras right there, you were like on stage with them. kind of,
Yeah.
Or right up front, so.
They're the hologram performers.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
happens.
Right. I
They
guess,
also, I remember, speaking of Woodstock, I remember when they did Woodstock '99, the whole thing was on pay-per-view, which is kind of like virtual attendance.
Wow, pay-per-view.
yeah, well, they streamed Coachella on YouTube.
Oh yeah, YouTube. Yeah, I've seen
so-
that. Yeah.
So, but how do you really monetize that, I guess would be.
At
the
this
right-
point, yeah, that one in particular, they don't. They're
They
giving
don't.
it away for maybe to build, it's maybe marketing for next year. So people go, wow, it was so fun.
Yeah.
I got to go the next year. I don't know.
Could be like a sports event, where they have you pay a certain amount to view it.
Right.
Like a closed loop, or what is it? The pay-per-view. Yeah. Closed circuit. You could do that. I just don't know. Is there an appetite for that?
I wonder at this point.
Because the other thing, and this is kind of getting to some of these, which is perhaps it's saturated, which is kind of where you're going for, which is at this point, if somebody said, we'll do a closed loop or closed circuit festival, we'd be like, yeah, there's a festival, like in Austin, how many festivals? I guess maybe Austin's not a good.
Well, ACL Live airs every Saturday on.
Yeah, right, you could watch bands, yeah, you can watch them on YouTube, there's a bunch of really high quality concerts.
I think the value is being present at the.
Right, exactly.
the show.
Well, maybe bringing concerts to people who, for smaller venues, maybe that's, because these these are so enormous.
We kind of started hitting at this, and I think this is where somebody was, but more niche
Yeah.
festivals seems like this may be.
And they're out there. I just don't know if they're organized
Really sloppy,
as
right?
well. You know.
Yeah, yours is kind of a niche. So tell us a little bit about running yours,
Sure.
and maybe because not everyone was here when you were telling us about it, so maybe give us the spiel on your festival.
Yeah, sure. So we run a 2-day festival in Louisiana, which is mostly Cajun and Americana music, roots music based festival, and we have 4 stages and camping, and there's a camp before. You can go to the camp and learn instruments or cooking. It's a culture camp and music and dance and whole 9 yards.
What is it? Tell everyone what it's called.
Black Pot Festival.
And why is it called Black Pot?
Part of thank you. Part of the festival and the cultural experience is food in Louisiana. So we have a black pot cook-off competition in 5 categories of, and you can make whatever you want in a category, but it has to be cooked in a pot. And it's mostly all Cajun categories like jambalaya and gumbo and stuff like that. So,
Dude, that's really interesting. That's really niche.
yeah.
But I wonder do you then feel some of these more strongly, like finding sponsorships,
Oh, yeah.
finding volunteers, because
Yeah.
everything is smaller.
Yeah, so I think we've capped out at around 4,000 at one point, but I don't think that many come now.
Is that just based on space?
No, it's a couple things. So the people that we hire to play the festival are really, they're not necessarily, like, not a lot of people care about Cajun music or old time music or traditional country music, or swamp pop, you know. So these are music people that really love music, and they travel, they come in from all over the country. The local people, for the most part, I would say like maybe 25% come from people that live in the town.
Yep.
Because they don't have to pay $35 or $60 for the weekend to go see Cajun music. They see it all the time, and this band is
I
gonna
see.
play in a week for $10 anyway.
I got it.
But when you're not from Louisiana and you come, it's a really magical experience because you're in a different culture that's nowhere in the United States, and it's a special experience, and you know that's why people come basically.
So would you say then the problem for yours at least is this one, is marketing?
Ours is sponsorships.
Because it sounds like,
So sponsorships are
oh, it's sponsorship,
ticket
okay.
sales are great, but that's not where you make your money for the festival. You make it in beer and food sales and sponsorships.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna put a star then next to these.
Is that like a standard across most festivals?
I would say so, yeah, because the big corporate sponsors, they're bringing in, you know, you can't sell enough tickets to pay for the insurance, the place, the security, all that kind of stuff.
Wait, tell us about insurance, because that's a new one for
Mm-hmm.
me at least.
Yeah, you have to have insurance, obviously.
Well, yes, but like, is it a big expense? Is that difficult to get?
It's not difficult to get, and it's
Maybe it's not even a problem.
relatively not that expensive, I
Okay.
would say. But it's another cost,
Okay.
so, yeah, it's,
In order to get a sponsor, what is the approach that we'll use yours as an example, but what is the approach
Yeah.
that festivals, do they start by kind of taking the lean startup approach, which is like, I really need to understand who's coming to the festival and attach the sponsorships to those, or is it kind of like whoever sponsors it gets it? Like, how does that work? What's the
Yes.
outreach?
So because there's certain aspects that anyone can sponsor, like if there's a local business, so we go for local businesses because most people, aside from microphones and musical equipment, most people aren't interested in sponsoring the festival. However, because it's a Black Pot Cook-Off, Lodge sponsors the festival
Okay,
with their black pots.
Got it.
They're, you know, they don't give us any money, but they give us stuff to give away
okay,
for the competition.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're terrible at sponsorships. Like we really need someone on the ground in Lafayette that's like gunning for sponsorships, and we just don't have it, so.
I was gonna ask, how does the dynamic for food specifically work in terms of the vendors that are there? Do you pay the vendors to show up and then get a cut from what they make, or is it, do they pay you to be there?
Yeah, so basically, the place that we're locked into now has a restaurant, and that's caused a lot of problems because, they don't want any vendors. They want people to
They
come
want all
in
the
there,
mon- yeah,
and it's
all
not,
the business.
they can't sell enough food to feed everybody. It's a problem that we run into. So we have the cook-off, which everybody can taste the food there, and people do eat from that. But, the drink thing is, we do run the alcohol sales.
Okay.
So that's really important. I would probably recommend sponsorships for alcohol, and then, you know, you're gonna make money off of selling free booze, and obviously you're selling booze at like a higher price than you would
Right.
normally, so.
Is there any sort of, like marketplace where it's, I'm hosting this festival, here's like the look, feel, persona of attendee, I'm looking for sponsors, and is there anywhere like that where you can go online and like
That's
try to
interesting.
find,
Yeah, no, not that we've found.
does anyone know of anything? We'll put this over here on
Like
the,
a sponsor clearinghouse kind of thing?
Yeah,
sponsor,
that's a good way to
Or
put
a
it.
sponsor matchmaker.
sponsor clearinghouse / matchmaker. To me,
From,
I would have to guess this exists, but if you guys, no one here has heard of it, excuse my writing there.
That company exists for matching sponsors with musicians and bands. There's a number of them.
Right.
that
Yeah, there
just
was-
specialize in
Yeah,
bands
so
and
several
artists.
years ago, there was this whole bands thing that happened. They even had a whole track on South by that was just about that topic. But I haven't heard it on the festival side, which is like, it's an event to sponsor, matchmaker.
Does everybody know Everfest? Is everyone familiar with that? So Everfest is, I just wanted to add Everfest
Yeah, go for it,
to
yeah.
the
To the conversation,
here,
yeah.
so people would understand. So Everfest is like basically categorization of all festivals happening in music and everything else in the world. And so they actually have an office.
They're
here.
located
They're out of
here, yeah.
Austin. They started in Austin. They have an office on like South Lamar,
Yeah.
South Version.
It's very nondescript office.
Yeah, very small sign. But so like there's an archive of all of the festivals, and I think you can filter by location. If you're looking for Discovery, that's a good.
Yeah,
place to
the
check
Discovery
out.
one would be there, yeah.
But so that type of thing exists as far as categorizing all of the festivals that happen. And so like that could be a tool within the mix of whatever solutions come out of this
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back now to us, the consumer. So what of this stuff, what is the most, I like the Wi-Fi one a lot. I don't know, like if that's a,
It seems like it's like an operations, security, transportation, parking, Wi-Fi, like grouping.
Yeah.
You would call it operations if you were running the festival, but from a consumer side, it's like logistics, basically.
what's the name of that company that does, is it Clear at the airport? That they
Clear.
pick you up and walk you through?
Yeah.
There should be a Clear for festivals, which is high end, maybe not even high end, but like they take care of all that, like
Like the
you're
VIP
pre-vetted, they just, all right, meet me here and then we'll walk you through so you don't have to stand in line and deal with all the nonsense
for the 1%ers.
for the 1%ers. Or if you would just wanna splurge because it's like your bachelor party or something, you
Well,
can.
they have the VIP tents, like when I have the VIP
Yeah, they do have VIP.
walkthrough.
Has anyone done VIP at South by or ACL? I want to, but, cause maybe all this stuff has already been solved, so you just gotta pay an extra $1,000 and, okay. But I agree with your, there's like an operations piece, which is both
Call it logistics. I think.
It's on, logistics is on here, I'm pretty sure.
Customer
Is it not?
experience or attendee experience.
It's not on here. I'll put logistics on here. I heard experience, go on.
User experience, basically, UX.
Yeah, we'll put UX. I mean, that's a big one, that's like, you could put a lot of this stuff under UX. But it may ultimately go back down to kind of, back to this niche festival in a way, because if what we're saying is that what's frustrating is there's too many fratastic chicken fights, Instagram stars, I don't like all the acts, the beers, like that is all, somebody could just go through each and every one of those and design a festival that flips all those pain points. But that would be an extremely niche. In fact, we could do it in this room probably.
And I don't wanna, bring it up just cause I was the one that said it, but
Yeah, go
again,
ahead.
just knowing about all these festivals, even if they aren't, these niche festivals.
Yeah,
I need to know about them. And there could be 50 festivals happening right now and I don't know about them because there isn't a place where they're all organized.
maybe another thing too is to not necessarily just organize festivals. Like I don't know how I think Everfest is just location and probably like genre, I will say.
But where are they
But-
posting this information? Like if I didn't know about Everfest, then I wouldn't
Oh,
know
I
to
don't
go
know.
look there.
Yeah, I don't know how you, I don't know. You can talk to their marketing people. I was gonna say though, that maybe, to maybe for Everfest, a new feature would be to add some of this stuff in your filtering. So how easy is it to park? Drink and food, put it like Yelp where it's like 1 to 4 stars. Stuff like that, where it's more the experience-based filtering versus the lineup, which I think is how it's probably mostly written down now.
Do they have an app?
Everfest, I'm pretty sure they do.
Uh,
At the very least, have a website,
Don't
because
know.
I've used the website, yeah.
We can pull up Everfest after this and
Yeah, yeah.
just see what they can do.
Anything else and then, on logistics, maybe sound would be in that mix? Oh, sound could also be part of the UX filtering, where I don't like it super loud, I don't know. More of an intimate.
Would we say in general that niche festivals are cheaper, so lower cost overall?
I think it depends,
That's
because you could do niche, I mean, Firefest could have been niche as well, and now it's super expensive, but it's up to you, you basically have to kind of map it back to, but that's a good example, so Firefest was for Instagram stars, was people who wanted a high-end drink, and they kind of, I mean, they failed,
If they would've
but they were
pulled it
building
off.
it, yeah, they
Yeah.
were
If it
building
would've been
it.
a fraud.
Exactly, yeah. I don't know what they got as far as sponsorships, I don't think they got too many. They just raised from VCs, or just private
Out of
investors,
pocket on
or that guy with the credit card. But yeah, I could argue that Firefest was
You're
trying
right,
to do a
yeah.
niche festival, and they just didn't execute it, but.
Yeah.
But flip it, so instead of doing like Firefest, you can do it where it's more for music, for people that are truly interested in just the bands.
Why isn't someone made a real Firefest? Like it works so well, so many people
I mean,
signed up for it.
or hey, how about this, Firefest? New idea. But actually doing it.
Firefest 2.0 real.
And did you guys watch the movie?
Yes.
Because he said, he called it V1, he literally called it V1 was a failure, as if we're just a startup like iterating.
Yeah.
I guess for all we know, it's already in the works.
It might be, yeah, it might be. I'm sure some people would
Is he
go.
going to jail or anything?
From
He
some other
is, and
people.
he has
Yeah.
another scam going.
Yeah, one of the movies, because they did 2 that came out at the same time, one of them said he's already working on his next thing, yeah.
From prison.
They said he's working on something from jail, yeah. Disaster. There was one girl that I know, I don't know her well, but she went. I remember that she was posting stuff from Firefest.
Wow.
Okay,
That's almost cooler now than actually going to a successful festival.
yeah, to say I was there for the debacle, I didn't eat, I ate a can of tuna.
Yeah.
But you're right though, that it is an example of a niche festival. They didn't execute it, but they kind of did everything right. If you really stop and think about it, like Their
Except
marketing
actually-
was phenomenal.
Except actually
Set-
taking into
set
account
that
where we take to
statement
pull it
back.
off, that was the problem.
Well, they
They did
overlooked one major detail.
They did one
Logistics.
thing right,
They-
and that was marketing.
They marketed
Like, that's the only thing
super
they did
well,
right.
super
Everything
well.
else they really
They overspent because what they did was they got Instagram, but they understood their audience. If you
They're
want to
paying
get down to the core of it,
10 times is
yeah, they got the
much
Jenner,
money
what's her
for
face,
acts, and they were like, cool, like, we never make this much money.
yeah. They got a bunch of Instagram celebrities and influencers to just, it didn't even say what it was, it just said Fire Fest or something.
And the orange block, yeah.
Yeah, the orange
So-
block, exactly.
So not to get too far.
No, please, go, yeah.
Far away from solving the problems, but, are we solving these problems for the large festivals that already exist?
I think this is a
or
good
we-
question, because this is actually kind of a key question, because I'm not sure that, for example, South by Southwest, I don't know that they have a marketing problem or a branding problem or a,
Logistics.
I mean, maybe, I don't think they have a volunteer problem, so this is probably for,
Right, so, and if, say, the bigger festivals don't need this, is the festival model a good model for more niche things? I mean, is it
Good
just,
question.
are we just talking about maybe smaller shows?
that's a great
that-
question, yeah,
Cause the model works for South by Southwest and Coachella, cause they're huge.
right.
They're so massive, but is there more room for more of those huge festivals? Or I know some people think so, but I'm, from a business perspective, I'm not sure.
It's a great
Like, what would
question,
we consider ACL? That's like a medium-sized festival, right? Is that like a,
probably.
like, where would that live on?
No,
the-
you know what, it's a big one.
Is it
I think
big?
ACL is a big one. It's just compared to South by, which overtakes a city. But for a music festival, it's pretty
Yeah.
big. I think they get like 100,000 people, maybe more. That's pretty big.
How does it compare to like, I don't know, Lollapalooza or Coachella? Because I've never been to either of them.
You know, the interesting thing too, getting back to your point, is Lollapalooza is international. So
True.
they have
Yeah, that is
Lollapalooza in South America, in the US, and maybe one in Europe, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So I think if you combine all them, it's much bigger than ACL. ACL is still, I think your point is that it's local, there's just one. There's no like
Okay. Doesn't travel.
Minneapolis city limits, as far as I know.
Well, I see
That's
how
like a
they-
sister
yeah,
festival.
They did, at least at one point, have a few, like, try to branch out, they had like Auckland city limits.
Oh, they did? Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Which
and
is
I don't-
ACL.
Yeah, but, yeah, so I don't think those are going on anymore, but for a few years they did it, and
I wonder if it has to be with an A. Like, we're not losing that branding.
yeah.
I wonder if we have to ask, are we doing a festival for money as like a business? Or are we doing it because we want to create something cool?
It could be either, but
compensation?
that's an important distinction to make at the beginning, which is,
Yeah.
oh, this product, we're doing it for love, this one, we're doing it for money.
Yeah,
So there,
and you can mix the two.
yeah, you can
like,
mix it, you
but-
could say like a certain feature, or a certain part of
Yeah.
it is, we give that away.
Yeah,
But yeah, there is no right or wrong answer. But I think this is a really interesting question about the business of festivals. I think you might have some interesting insights here,
sure.
but it's put it into kind of like the ACL bucket versus something small, local, really niche. And I don't know that the big festivals, they may have tweaks, but not like anything major. Whereas the little ones probably have something major, but your point is there a big enough market, is there a big enough audience for that? That's a really interesting question. I don't know the answer.
I don't know, I think the big festivals do have problems, they're just different problems.
Right.
Like, we're talking about like security and
Yeah.
Wi-Fi, like, those are problems.
That's a
big
problem for a big
festivals.
festival, yeah.
And things like getting the right food vendors in there, probably for more niche festivals issues.
Well, how about this? Why don't we pivot out of
We can't talk about everything.
yeah, well, why don't we, because this, I don't think collectively, we don't know enough about the business, like the logistics side, but we do know about the experience for us, so we can maybe talk more on the consumer side, because that is something where maybe it doesn't really matter if you're talking big or small, because the consumer feels it either way. So I think drink, food, Discovery, where was Discovery over here, and Axe. Anyone have any ideas there around like, not that they're related, I'm saying that these are more like stuff that we experience, we the consumer will say.
So is food and beverage, I understand beverage, but is food such a revenue maker that it cannot in any way be affordable. Like, I went to the Austin airport not too long ago, and one of the restaurants, right, like, there's a handful of restaurants, and the tacos are like $3, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm in an airport.
Yeah, everything at airport's $20, yeah.
And I was like, that is a really good experience for me to like know that I can go to the airport in Austin and have an affordable meal that's some quality. I don't know the answer to that though. Like, is there a way to?
You could have a simple menu and provide food with your ticket. Like you get like cheer drinks and you get to pick like fries or whatever, chicken fingers, and then you just go and scan your bracelet and they give you the food. So it's just like this food is just being generated. It's a streamlined.
Well, I like the idea of
Situation.
bundling things with.
Yeah, I was gonna say bundle, because then
Yeah.
even if it's not technically, it may ultimately be as expensive or sometimes more, it feels like you're paying less because you're not putting out your wallet, it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, can I have
And it's
a-
also part of the experience, because if you're having to scrabble around for food and all the other stuff you need, as opposed to you already knowing what you're gonna get, and if it's
Yeah.
really well done,
Yeah.
that escalates your experience quite a bit.
And I'll even say bundles broadly, because bundles counteract something we had in here, too many upsells.
Yeah.
If you just put stuff together and it's like all you can eat, and even if you charge them more, I think that's gonna be a much better UX, user experience than
Yeah.
everything feels like they're nickel and diming me. So I like that idea a lot.
I like
I
this.
don't know.
That's kind of why I was asking about the dynamic between the food vendors and whoever's hosting the festival.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if that's the case, then like the vendors won't be too interested in setting up shop.
Yeah, I don't know, that's a good.
Because I don't know how the food vendors get paid. I mean, I'm assuming it's worth it for them to be there because they were to charge those high prices.
I'm sure there's a way, because it depends on what you were saying, a more limited menu, that I'm sure there's ways that the vendors could make it so the items that they sell still end up being their best unit economic
Yeah.
products, so that they're still making good, all they care about is the margin they make. I don't think they care that much about,
I went to my wife's work event.
Good.
and It was in a parking lot. It was really poorly designed, but there's all these food trucks.
yeah,
And so going into the event, they give you 10 tickets, and you could use your tickets. And
There you go.
all of the food vendors had number of tickets to buy.
yeah, to buy an
things.
item.
And so,
Even that feels better than $25
what if
for
those-
a
what if
sandwich.
those tickets were digital on your RFID?
They have like, cause you could do like the cashless, like a lot of the festivals,
And
you
what if
just go and tap your.
could preview the food digitally, you could say, all these vendors are gonna be here, and you can look at what you want to get beforehand, so you know that you're gonna get.
Oh, that's a good idea. We'll say pre.
You can download a burger.
If you volunteer for South by Southwest, you get a meal or two a day, and they have these food courts you go to, and you just have a scan, and they just give you.
See, that's cool. How would we, I don't know how to call that. Cause one thing I was gonna add too to what you said is, one of the things that was frustrating for me over the weekend and at ACL is I don't know where the fuck any of the food is. So like, if I really wanna go to, let's say, La Barbecue has it's gonna take me 50 minutes to figure out where La Barbecue is, even with the map. Anyways, sorry, yeah.
I was gonna say that I've worked in the food service industry during a large festival like South by or ACL, and I've worked at a restaurant that was easily 2-3 miles away from where the festival was happening, and we were still slammed. So many people were coming in. If I was running a festival, I'd want people to eat at my festival and not go to these other restaurants.
Yes.
So you would think that they would make it easier for the attendees of the festival to get food, whether it's making it cheaper or just more accessible or whatever the case is. And so I guess my point is that I know that a lot of people are coming into Austin, and I want all the people that are coming in for Austin for South by to eat at South by and not go somewhere else, because that does happen.
Yeah, of
You
course.
know, and it's very obvious when it's like South by weekend and you're, working at a, pizza place or
Yeah,
Mexican
the
restaurant,
runoff.
and it's just like crazy.
Yeah.
But why aren't all those people eating at the festival? That's what they're here for, It
Yeah,
could be
that's a
just
good-
there aren't enough choices, or it's because it's too hard to get food at that festival.
It's probably 'cause
Or
they
it's too
only have
expensive.
$2, $10
That's,
a piece of
it's
pizza.
all of it.
Yeah.
It's all of it.
$30 for
But what I was
one.
gonna say was that, to go back to the food and drink thing, cause this was really frustrating over the weekend, it does, I think it happens at ACL too, which is, I was just thinking, man, this is wildly inefficient, cause they had, okay, so you go and you order, this is at the bar, but it was just where you got alcohol. It was completely chaotic behind the scenes, and I was like, they could have it where if maybe somebody pre-selects, so by the time you get there, like, here you go, because how the transactions worked is you would come up to me and go, I want 2 Coronas and then give me a vodka soda, I'm making up an example. Every single thing had to be, okay, hang on, and they'd have to go look for it. There's some simple things, like they had an ice tray, but it wasn't just one drink, so, you know, every time you reached in, you knew what you were getting, everything was mixed, I'm like, this is incredibly inefficient, or
Kinda like a
inefficient.
Chick-fil-A model.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I would say to have it, I like the idea of pre-selecting or how they do it at the airport, where you could just on an app or something, you say, here's what I want, and they just come and bring it to you. Not to be that they would have somebody doing delivery, but
It could
that
be
you
as
kind of
simple
order and then you just walk up and
Yeah,
pick
like,
up your food.
Middle of
Yeah.
the show, you'd be like, okay, I'm gonna, order this and then be able to pick it up when.
Exactly, and they can
this
just say,
gets
hey,
over.
yeah, exactly.
That also eliminates a lot of waste and a lot of surplus, because then you know, you're kind of, if you do it before the festival, then they know what to stock, they know. what
Yeah,
to
that
buy,
that could
as
also
opposed
be
to
helpful
just-
too, yeah.
Or not even before the festival, just have, expedited access, so there could be a line for normies and then people that
Yeah,
have
pre-
paid for
yeah, exactly.
extra access, so they know, okay, I've placed it in, it'll be there as soon
An
as I get there.
here, this is a really express line or something.
Yeah.
That seems like a really obvious, like, that's kind of like low hanging
Call it a
fruit
normie line.
versus normie.
I mean, we've already got chicken fried up there.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, yeah, even have pre-ordering could help the vendors too, cause if you can plan on, okay, yeah, I know it's this time, these acts right here. are finishing
Yeah,
up.
oh my god, yeah,
We can-
you could
Maybe
be
not
like,
pre-make things, but know like, okay, these are our
We're
budget
gonna get
items, be ready
slammed.
to churn them out, and then
Yeah.
we can.
matter of fact, you could give, this may be a little bit, but you could give people the option of being like, when would you give people times? Cause it's gonna be in between the headliners, it's gonna be a surge of people.
Disneyland does that with fast passes, don't they? They do.
Yeah, the
they-
fast
they said
pass,
they
yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe
There's
incorporate that
restaurants
into
that
the
do
fast pass
Oh, yeah?
for the
Yeah.
festival. But it would just be for food and drink.
Just an idea, but what about a festival pre-establishing a efficiency standard that all vendors have to meet before?
Oh, that's a good idea.
So everybody that is gonna be selling their own food, if they're like an outside vendor, they have to meet the minimum requirements that the festival
Like
establishes.
all cocktails, all margaritas come on tap. No one's.
So-
Yeah,
not
there's so
making
many ways to,
margaritas.
yeah.
Yeah, so like, get your marketing team, I don't know, you get your production team to develop that efficient way to deliver the food.
Yeah.
And if the vendor can fit that model, great, if not, you look for a different vendor. Or a different vendor will come to you most likely.
And it kinda goes, oh, go ahead.
You could offer you could encourage people to pre-order by saying, this is 50 cents cheaper.
That's what I was gonna say, you could make it worth their while by giving at least
Yeah.
like some little incentive, even just like one free drink if you order X number of meals through this platform or something like that. And then the other one that I was thinking about, somebody was saying, or you were saying, have everything pre-mixed so it's like either in a can or whatever. That almost goes back to kind of understanding your audience. Cause like if you understand that people, it's not the biggest deal for them if they're drinking a super high-end mixed drink versus they just want something so they can have something in their hand.
Yeah, like in the middle of ACL, I just want something like cold.
Exactly, I could give it, I just
don't
want
care if it's like
water,
top
yeah.
shelf liquor mixed into something, if it's pre-mixed and it's cold and it tastes
I'm
like
fine,
what I want,
exactly.
I'm good.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
You can save the fancy stuff for the VIP tent.
Yeah, exactly.
You have the Cajun Fest, just gumbo, just.
Yeah, just come straight out of the tap.
So I know that they're getting tighter and tighter with what you can and cannot bring into, like a South by, right? What if you get, like a thermos, and that is your reusable cup, that you go and you get this drink here, you get this drink here, that way you're not wasting all these cups.
Oh, that's a great idea. Does that, you know what, we should put over here the problems, just like trash.
Yeah.
I don't know where to. And there's
'Cause you already
there's like
do-
trash, which is, you know, stepping on like used cup, but then there's just like, there's a lot of recyclable shit that, you know, you can really cut down on, like you said, cups and
Yeah,
utensils
you
and
know, if
I don't
you're-
know what else, but.
If you're going to these different, you know, bars or
Oh,
whatever they
okay.
have to get a drink, you know, why not the festival just give you one reusable cup that you can go and if you have this reusable cup, maybe the drink is a little bit cheaper or, you know, whatever the
We
case
do
is.
that
That's a
in
good
Pizza
idea.
Hut.
You know,
And then it's a keepsake from the
Exactly,
festival.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Theme that's emerging, it's kind of like encouraging good behavior with incentives.
because I believe that now they give you a bag for South by, like a little like drawstring bag, where, you know, if it doesn't fit here, you can't bring it in, I
Yeah.
think.
And like at
Like UT is getting, everything's getting much more,
the bar
Difficult.
theater, or what's it called? What's the theater at UT called?
theater UT.
Bass.
The Bass.
Oh, okay.
Bass
Oh,
Concert
yeah.
Hall. You have to have the plastics.
Everything in UT now, you have to be in clear bags and,
So,
Yeah.
one is good behavior seems like, and one is like add-ons at the purchase point, which is.
yeah,
Which gives you maybe cheaper opportunities to buy food, get express through line, security, et cetera.
but you could almost be like, like flip the upsell nonsense with, like, if you bring your own reusable cup and you're going to using the express pass, and you could almost give people, not reward them, well, yes, reward them with like little discounts or little notification on the app. This is like, hey, awesome that you're doing all this cool stuff. Like, there's little ways that you can do it.
I mean, everything you add to the bundle could add an
And the
additional
bundle, yeah.
discount to the whole set.
It is the inverse of the upsell, which is like, the more stuff you do, the more the price comes down.
Stuff you know you're gonna do anyway.
Yeah,
People are spending a lot of money.
I heard a wow.
Inverse of the upsell.
Yeah.
I like that.
The downsell. Anything else?
Scooters, let's talk about scooters.
Oh,
I haven't done that's not true, South by, never mind. Are we putting scooters as a solution or as a problem?
Add under transportation.
Okay.
I think scooters would work very well in Zilker Park.
Yeah, that's not gonna work for ACL,
Oh,
but people will take them,
but they take them from the
yeah,
main
from,
road
yeah,
or
to
from,
there,
like,
yeah.
First Street to,
Yeah.
Getting
Lamar-
people around
Lamar
in
Festival.
whatever city, if we're talking about big festivals, getting people around to whatever city they're in is a major.
That's a major problem.
Yeah.
I just realized people are gonna be on that little tiny bridge by me on a scooter, for sure, for ACL. That'll be a debacle. Yeah, and I have no idea, that's like a city problem that I don't think we're gonna solve. And generally though, just getting in and out of busy venues is,
But you could potentially, if there's sponsors that are sponsoring these huge festivals that are big sponsors, if they could get in with the cities, that like, especially South by Southwest, that's a perfect one for this. If those sponsors could come in and help solve some of the transit problems in the city.
at Kaboo, they did that. And even though it still took a long time to just get out of there because it's a busy venue and there's just a lot of traffic, Uber was a sponsor and they actually did a really good job. There was an enormous Uber pickup area. It wasn't called rideshare because they're a sponsor, it's called Uber pickup area. They had Wi-Fi at that area because they knew like people's signal goes down if they're trying to contact their driver. They had a bunch of seats, they had a bunch of staff that were there helping people guide them. They actually came up with a more clever system of when the driver got to the venue, they assigned a lane
Yeah.
and the driver had to tell the rider, hey, I'm in lane 1, and that's until you knew your lane, you couldn't even go up to wait. So they had kind of a decent system for,
it's like that new, what they have set up at the airport now.
yeah, similar.
You gotta walk like a mile.
Yeah, you gotta walk a ways, but it's actually more, It still takes a while, cause like we said, it's just
Yeah.
busy venue, but.
But what about like group, so what's the bus company called? It's not a bus, it's like a small van that, carousel?
Is
They're
it a
all
company?
What are they called? Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
Chariot, you're talking about Chariot, yeah, yeah.
Chariot.
Are they still around?
I don't know.
I
I
don't
see
think
them
they
a lot
are.
on Rainy Street.
Oh, they are, okay.
Yeah.
Well, like Chariot would be.
I
they
used
could
them
have,
for
like,
South
group-
by.
They could have group stops.
Yeah.
and
What are
One
the
thing-
current options for transportation for just local people getting to the festival, besides like Ubering and driving themselves?
Scooter,
Well,
Uber,
Well,
What-
I mean, there is a bus system.
Yeah.
the bus, you can
Like
take
the
the
city
bus.
bus?
You can take the city
and
bus.
that's what I was gonna ask.
So I guess
is,
are there private like shuttles that take people there?
I know
Um,
ACL has like.
probably, I don't,
like
I
a
walked, so
Square
I don't
Park,
know.
They pick up people and I don't know if it's a city bus or just a shuttle that takes people to the,
Yeah.
like Barton Springs entrance there and back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
We have to go like, yeah, like down.
you gotta go a
downtown
ways,
here.
yeah,
And
Okay.
then they take you across the lake.
yeah.
I see.
Right to the park.
Those guys have like.
Oh, yeah, you can ride your bike, a bunch of people ride their bike.
I, you know, I'm from Austin, I live here, so I don't know what it's like to travel from out of town to go to South by. But I do know that it's, $2.50 for a 24-hour bus pass.
Yeah.
Like, do other people know that? And like, is the bus like catering to these,
I
you know,
have
events?
no idea.
The bus, they do run buses late,
They
during
do
South
do
by
that, yeah.
Southwest, and I think they maybe increased some routes a little bit. But I know they definitely run late, they run until 2 in the morning or something.
But those
Yeah, I
are
know people
for
that do the
know
train
about the
also.
bus, you know,
Yeah,
like-
yeah, no, that's true, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know, that's a good point. I wonder too if people,
Like if I bought a, you know, a ticket to South by and I was coming from, you know, another state, I'd want a
That could be
24-hour
part of
bus
the-
pass that
part
would
of
just
yeah,
cost
part of the
$2.50.
bundle.
Yeah,
The bundle
You
could
know,
include,
it's so cheap.
travel.
And it's way cheaper than rideshare, cause you know, you get those, surge charges,
yeah.
but the bus, you know, it's always
on a
gonna be there,
schedule, yeah.
and it's $2.50, you know.
You could also offer alcohol on the bus.
You could offer, yeah.
We'll make it part of the
Party
experience,
bus,
I
yeah,
guess.
party bus.
Some people do that anyway on the city bus, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna say.
But definitely you could add travel to a bundle.
Yeah, and then you also know how you're gonna get there, you're not wondering.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Really, you could create a bundle that just knocks out all or most of the frustrations of the user experience.
Yeah.
You could have it where the transportation's in there, the food and drink is figured out, whether it's all pre-bought or at least you have like a meal plan, to use a school
Mhm.
analogy. You don't
That's
have to
the
worry
whole
about
company
parking.
right there.
Yeah, you don't have to. It doesn't really solve any of this stuff around the acts, but
Are there any companies that sell packages for people that are coming out of town or from abroad?
for the festivals?
Yeah, for festivals.
Probably. I don't know
Or
for
like for
sure.
ACL specifically?
For ACL, I don't know. For South by, probably. Cause I know that even for Formula One, but maybe Formula One's it's a separate thing. Formula One they did,
Oh, cool.
but that's not a festival either. That's
Yeah.
an event.
I like that idea though, because you could do anything with a package, it could be like, you know, you could hang out with somebody from Austin, they're gonna take you for good barbecue
Yeah.
before you go to the festival, and.
Like
Or,
adding to
you
the
know,
Oh, that's a great
Yeah.
idea. It's almost like an Airbnb,
experience.
experience. I don't know where to, I'm running out of room.
They might even be your own personal driver.
Yeah.
you know,
And
while you're here.
absolutely,
That's
yeah.
right.
That's a great idea.
It almost seems like you could even do a trade where if you, because I'm thinking like for me, a cost is such a big thing for me. I would almost be willing to show someone around Austin if I could go to their town that has a really great.
Oh, that's a great idea, an
Yeah.
exchange.
Kind of,
Totally.
exchange program.
Or
That's
if you
awesome.
participate in that festival, you get a discounted ticket as being that person who's
Yeah.
chauffeuring.
right, that's true too.
Yeah.
You could almost become like a festival ambassador or something and have it as part of the awareness.
You know, it's interesting, and I've never done this, but there's like a couch surfing community
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
like, you know, you lend your couch
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
to, you know, someone that's coming through and they'll do the same thing for you when you
Right.
come to their place, or, could be something like that.
That's a really interesting idea. Anything else? Have we tapped out ideas? Well, my biggest takeaway for the consumer is this concept of bundling and creating like really unique bundles that address the exact frustrations on, and try to the extent possible, lowering the cost of things by packaging it all together as
Yeah.
opposed to charging them at every
And I think
opportunity.
that might work a lot better for smaller festivals, because I think for some of the bigger festivals, they know people are gonna show up.
Yeah,
They know they're gonna fill their venues, so they're probably not so worried about the user experience, but for a smaller festival, it might be.
yeah. And if you're clever, this is a challenge, but if you figure out, you can make the economics so you don't have to chart, the bundle doesn't have to be outrageously VIP expensive. It could actually be doable for most people. You just have to kind of slim the offerings, but you could probably do it.
Price of a carry-on bag on a hacker fair.
Yeah, exactly. And I like the festival exchange idea a lot.
I think the express line when it comes to food and drinks that's a
To
pretty
me, that
good
one's
idea.
low hanging fruit. That one doesn't even require much thought. That's
But
like,
is it being handled now?
it's not being done, yeah.
For us, like to our, like, the problem with doing a bundle would be the tech end of it, because we don't have the development money, personnel
You would need
to
a-
create the app,
You would need a white label app,
yeah,
for the developers in the house.
yeah.
A white label
Yeah.
app that would handle
There's-
bundling.
There's a business right there.
Yeah, that could be a business.
What do most festivals use?
And you could, that doesn't have to be a festival, that could just be event.
Well, see,
You
that's
white
what I was
label
saying
it.
is like, I'll drive, what's that bridge that when you're going up to Lamar just before you hit 6, there's that little overpass part. There are these columns, and I always see these flyers, come to this festival, or, this is happening here, this is happening here. That's like the only time I see them,
Right. Yeah.
is on these flyers, on these posts, around town. Yeah, I mean, they
Yeah,
have a
but-
website on the flyer, but I still have to find the flyer to,
Yeah, the discovery thing still is a problem unless you're ACL or South by,
Yeah,
that people
which-
already are counting on it
It's,
because they've just been around for so long, or they have so much that they could spend on advertisements. But for the more niche festival, you'd have to just do kind of like a standard digital marketing playbook.
Yeah.
Yeah, just tag them on, try to hit them on Facebook ad
Like-
or Google.
For me personally, the only way I find out about like very niche festivals is by the bands that I follow or artists that I follow.
Right, exactly. And that's the other one too,
And they
is the
post about
bands,
it. I mean,
yeah.
they're gonna explode everything
Right.
anywhere they perform.
Yeah.
And that's the only time I ever find out about like, oh wow, there's like a rock and Spanish festival going on in Chicago. It's like, oh cool.
Exact, that's
Like I
exactly
had
right.
no idea that was going on.
Yeah,
It's,
exactly.
I
And I mean-
follow a lot of record labels on Instagram, and so they have their whole roster of artists that they post about festivals and shows, etc.
That's one thing I learned from Alex, which is follow the labels, because the labels are a really good way to know what's going on with artists, and they usually are kind of genre based. So like if you like a certain artist and they're on a particular label, there's a chance you may find another. And they also play together a lot. So a lot of times the opener, you're like, oh, that's a good opener. They're on the same label.
and I mean, like, Do 512 does a pretty good job of telling you what's going on in town, but it doesn't
That's for
specifically
Austin.
do festivals, it's just like,
Yeah.
there's this thing happening.
Events like this are a good awareness generator too.
Yeah.
So if you even had one artist do a small acoustic set at an event like this, just
Yeah.
come in, did a couple songs, say, hey, I've been playing at all these,
That's a great, yeah.
'Cause these
Go
are
to where
free and-
go to where people are
Yeah.
naturally hanging out that's an obvious one right there. The other one too that there is a really good book, and I'm not gonna remember the name. The guy went on Seth Godin's podcast. His first name's Ryan. I'll try to think of the name. In any case, his whole thing is he does creative ventures. So he works a lot with musicians, creatives, and he told everyone, go read The Lean Startup and do that for your band or do that for your book. And it actually makes, I'd never thought of that approach, but it makes total sense. So for example, like on the discovery side, what this guy would say is get to know as a musician, get to know your audience so well that you would know what podcasts they listen to and go buy advertising space on that podcast, or go figure out what who they follow on social media, but not, you know, the huge influencer, the micro influencer, and go like it's micro targeting, but to in a really disciplined way. And I thought that was, I'd never thought of that approach for creatives, but I think it would totally work.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, you know, a lot of people, they're just like, oh, if we play, they will come, but that's not always
Yeah,
the
that's not
case.
true. His thing is
Yeah.
like, that's not the case. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, it does work over time and
Yeah, but you
with a
could
lot
be
of blood,
more
sweat, and
efficient,
tears.
you
Yeah,
could be better.
there's a way to really not cut corners, but be really efficient with it.
Mm.
How does Blackpot do ticket sales on the back end? What do you use for your?
So because we're super lean, I use Wix,
Okay.
and they don't take as an app. I think it's like $20 a month, and they basically print out. They give us a list. They send tickets to the buyer, and they give us a list of who's there, and we physically check people in.
Okay. So Wix has like a
But
festival
it's-
/ event ticketing
App,
app. Okay.
yeah,
Cool. And but they take a percentage of the transaction.
they don't.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's nice.
yeah. PayPal does.
So on Wix, could you do like a add-on type model?
For bundling. I think it would be, the purchasing the bundling is the problem, the keeping track of accountability, like how much
Yeah.
someone has already bought about food or drinks.
People just show up with a ticket, right? Or their names on the list rather than like having a special.
Right, we don't have
High-tech
any kind of
wristbands, yeah.
digital wristbands or
Yeah.
anything, yeah.
That company that this meetup had, that did the reselling of tickets.
Oh yeah,
Remember that one?
yeah.
That was.
That was really cool.
What was that?
I don't remember the name of it. I'll have to dig around. What they did was, it was a guy who worked in Wall Street, and he
Yeah.
was basically doing like ticketing arbitrage, but he brought like what you would do for a stock, he does it for tickets.
That's right, I remember it.
I was thinking, there was another company, they didn't present here, but we found out about them way back when. I have not heard anything about them, so hopefully they're not out of business, because I thought this was one of the more creative music tech ideas I'd ever heard. Is they would, so let's say for example, we're all big fans of Paul McCartney, making up a super easy example, and this would never happen in real life, but we're all fans of Paul McCartney, and Stubbs, we want Paul McCartney to go play at Stubbs. And so what they would do is they would create a
cool.
event, which is Paul McCartney at Stubbs, but we must get 100 to pre-buy a ticket, or else it doesn't. Like you actually go buy a ticket. It's kind of like Kickstarter, where like if it doesn't reach 100, everyone gets their money back.
Yeah.
But the event
That's
isn't
awesome.
booked. Nothing happens until. So can you bring that model to a festival, which is instead of putting up money up front for food, drink, sponsor, whatever, you can go to them with data and say, I already have 4,000 people that have pre-bought tickets. They haven't been, we have it, it hasn't been dispersed because not until we can lock in food, drink, or whatever else can those tickets be officially dispersed.
Well, like, okay, so if there's like a stage, let's say it's we'll just call it the random stage, right? So many people buy their passes to South by months in advance. As soon as they release, they're being put
Yeah.
up. There could be a feature where it's like, all right, these 4 artists have the potential to play at the random stage. Lock your vote in now when you buy your pass.
Yeah.
And then, you know, whoever, when they buy their pass, they cast their vote, and then that's who plays there.
Yeah.
You know, something like
That could work.
Yeah.
I think just South by is a bad example because it's so big that they don't need to do anything creative. I mean, they could, of course, but
Yeah,
they don't
but I
really
mean, we
have
have
to.
no say on who
But
plays
yeah,
there.
you're right.
The problem with sort of crowdfunding artists is
Not
people-
artists though, the event itself, like the individual artists.
Oh, the
That's
fes-
what
the
the
festival,
individual artist
per
is
se.
what the other company
But
did.
then
I'm
you-
saying try for a festival
Yeah.
or
So
for
you
an
basically
event.
have to get buy-in from all of the people that are gonna be at the festival, cause that's the allure of going to the festival.
Yeah, that's true.
So you
Unless
have
you
to
make
have,
it
like-
not about the music, which is now getting out of music.
Isn't that what Fire did, basically?
Yeah, because Firefest, they
Sure,
bought
yeah.
tickets without, and South by, people buy their tickets just because it's South by, but if you make it so it's a Cajun fest for Cajun fans, and we know we're gonna have a cook-off and have Cajun music,
Yeah.
maybe there's enough people that'll go, I'll go to that.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah, the problem that I.
But
that
maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, see with that is that you get into crowd curation of the kinds, it depends on why you're doing the festival, because the kinds of people that will participate in that kind of event, are gonna choose a different kind of music than people who don't.
Oh, I see.
So,
Yeah, that does make it more difficult, because you would have to get a verbal commitment and promote the artist, but not
True.
know that it's gonna happen or
I
not.
mean, you could say, here's our theme and here's our headliners. I mean, if you get a commitment from like 3 out of 10 bands, let's say, then that model could work. And
Could work.
We're gonna fill in the rest.
Yeah,
I'm thinking that'd be a really cool idea for independent, up-and-coming artists that are looking for gigs.
That's true.
And they would do anything for a gig.
so then more for the
Yeah.
people that are more like you were saying before, like I wanna go see music and maybe go discover some music and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah, that idea is really cool for like bands that don't have, I feel like that don't have maybe agents or labels that
Yeah.
have some national recognition where they can't book a tour unless they guarantee to the venue that they're bringing X amount of heads.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, That's really neat. I'm just like still thinking.
Yeah, I was blown away by that concept.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know
great.
what, I
That's
don't know
an
what
awesome idea.
happened with that, maybe they're still doing it, I don't remember the name of it, but I thought it was a really, really clever,
Yeah.
cause it's also really helpful for the venue.
Mhm.
Cause the venues too have the same problem of like, we're having somebody on Tuesday and we don't know who's coming.
Right.
There's also more bargaining power for the artist too, if, I mean,
Yeah, of course, you say, look at
Yeah.
how many people I'm bringing.
So,
yeah.
I mean, there could be a whole festival and pick your artist, you know, pick your own artist festival.
That's an interesting, yeah.
especially remote areas, like I used to live in Alaska, and like 2 or 3 times a year, someone would come up there, and everyone's gonna go because it's something to do, but if you could actually vote and pick, you know,
That's an interesting idea too, and
Yeah.
that kind of, you could do the kind of the crowdfunding thing too, to be like, hey, it's worth coming, cause there's probably a bunch of cities that are completely off the radar screen, even now with all the data we have, are probably
Yeah.
completely off the radar screen of booking agents, and even I've heard bands say like, I don't know where I'm popular, which is, I'm like, don't, Spotify, like, has this, you can, this is easy to find. But if you do, we're like, hey, we really want such and such band to come, just make a big push locally and
Yeah.
say, here's how many pre-sales we have. And you can just
Yeah.
start getting maybe even some big name artists to come do shows at a, random
totally.
venue.
Yeah.
Is there a way for just like an average consumer to find data about where an artist is popular? I know there's like the Next Big Sound, which,
Yeah, but Next Big Sound got acquired and they take all that data.
yeah.
Spotify, but you just have to pay for it.
They don't share that.
Yeah, you can,
But can the consumer pay for it? Like,
yeah,
or do
you just have
get-
to pay a premium, it's just cash, you have to pay whatever they,
That's a thing, you can do that?
I don't think they probably make it so it's expensive enough where nobody would just do it cause they wanna know. Like, I would wanna know just cause I think it's interesting.
Is there, as far as development goes, and I haven't used the Spotify API, but is there like some, way to track that metric using their API?
Because it's not the API though, they have it's a separate it's called, I think it's called Spotify for Business or
Yeah,
something.
I read a little bit about this one, I can't remember his name, but apparently he's like a genius data scientist who kind of mapped out the country based off of like genres and specific artists, and
Okay.
he's working on some sort of map fueled by massive data, massive amounts of data. But
That's cool.
none of that is, available to the public.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you have the option to buy. any
The,
of that
yeah,
data.
that's the problem, it's like, for a lot of companies, that's proprietary data.
Yeah.
And so they don't have to give it to you unless you make a really good case for why they should. And for example, the company Alex referenced is called Next Big Sound. And they used to, it was pretty simple, what they did, which is they would just take data from YouTube, from Twitter, and from maybe Facebook, it was mostly out
Great
there.
for social media.
And they would just figure out, they could just create probably a super simple algorithm, and they could tell you, okay, this, the trend lines are all going the right way for this artist in Austin.
So they're like, this person is at nearing the top of their bell curve.
Yeah,
Katy Perry's like here, everybody knows her. And so like, why spend $20,000
Yeah.
or $50,000.
On a sponsorship, and sponsor this other person, you
Who's
get
gonna
a better
eventually
ROI,
get
yeah.
that item.
Yeah, but it's a great idea, but they got acquired by Pandora, and Pandora took all that data off. Like for the public, like they still use it, but
Yeah.
we don't have access to it.
Interesting.
But there might be something interesting. Is it time? I don't even know what time
It's
it is.
8:30.
Okay, we can stop doing this. Any final, thoughts, ideas, anything that came out? Is anyone gonna go start a business on any of this? I like, there's a business with the white label of, white labeling bundles for events.
I'm sorry, I don't have a tech background, but what's a white label app?
Oh, I'm sorry. So white label basically means you create a piece of software that can be used by anything. Oh, weird noise. So basically what white label means is we create an app, and then usually what white label, you're selling it to a business.
Mhm.
So that means the business can just change the logo, change the
Oh, I
font,
see.
but the underlying software is just, you basically license it.
So like a template?
Like a template,
Okay.
like a template, yeah.
Interesting.
And this would be a template for
For an event.
bundling,
Yeah.
yeah, but,
Okay.
and so the bundles would be different, cause that's where the creativity comes in, and you
Yep.
could start doing, really understanding some of this stuff, like where the frustrations are.
Brokering deals between local food vendors and national food and all drink, there's so many possibilities there, because there's for working with, for bringing all these different people together, so that's what's interesting about that to me.
And creating the express line at an existing festival or event where you're like, you don't even have to deal with brokering deals, like you've already figured out your food thing, great, we're just gonna create this express lane and we can do it for you.
Is stadium seating just a liability at festivals?
I don't know.
Like, what if they put like stadium seating as far as like viewing the acts?
At Kaboo, they had a bunch of different, but it was all upsell, so it was like, you could sit up here and pay extra. But I don't know why, does anyone know why festivals are always just open?
I think it'd probably be just cost of rental with those things,
Yeah.
but,
I just imagine like drunk
sure.
man falling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Where's off of-
I mean, that would have to
Otherwise,
affect the
it's
cost of your
covered.
ticket in some way,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I
Well-
think a lot of them are VIP areas. What I've seen, like Governor's Ball has the main stage on the left side, the kind of like a stadium
Yeah,
like
yeah.
thing going on.
But they couldn't just probably put something in like the middle of the field. It's gotta be like
Yeah.
more architected and
Yeah, I think so.
protected in a way,
It kind of reminded me of something that I brought up earlier related to emergency services.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how it's like in ACL, but I know deaths happen at festivals
Yeah.
for whatever reason. But maybe part of the festival app is a button that transmits your immediate location to the EMS team right there, so they can find you a lot easier.
That's a good idea.
I had an issue once where a friend of mine passed out, and it took like 20 minutes for
Oh, wow.
anybody to get there. It's just the crowd was huge, and they couldn't find us. But
Jeez.
like it wasn't anything bad. It was just out in the sun too much.
Yeah, yeah.
But
And that'd be so easy, I mean,
yeah,
everyone
Yeah,
has
that
a
doesn't
phone.
seem that hard to
technology
do, yeah.
exists, yeah.
If your Wi-Fi is.
But it ties back to the
Too.
Wi-Fi, exactly,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
ties back to the Wi-Fi
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, true.
Maybe it's tied into your bracelet.
That too.
Yeah,
I mean,
if you're like 2 inches off the ground on your bracelet,
Maybe they've got like, or like Zigbee or Bluetooth.
Yeah, just a location tracker on their,
An option to submit some sort of emergency signal.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's
think the
great.
bundles would cut down on emergency services too, if you're just handing out water and,
Yeah, definitely.
sunscreen or a hat or food.
What is the major cause of, is it just people get dehydrated usually? Like, what's the major
Like,
cause of emergencies at?
From what I've heard is like overdoses and like
Overdoses, oh, that's true, okay.
overdoses and
You
the
drank
sun
too much
being
and you're out in
out.
the sun, or you're
Yeah.
dehydrated, so you faint or something, or
Yeah.
you feel lightheaded.
Yeah. Or like getting stampeded. That's
That would be terrible.
that is
Oh,
yeah.
But that kinda goes back to the crowd control part, which we never
Yeah.
really talked about, but I think it's just,
I mean, chicken fights, high.
the chicken fights are, that's the thing, yeah. A lot of
Were
problems
you
there.
in a chicken fight accident? A lot of,
No, but my wife is like 5'2", and so like, I feel like we always find a good spot, she's like, okay, I can see here, and then like some asshole comes up and is like, and then I can't see either.
Someone blocks you?
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm not at the height of a person on top of a person.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah. That's funny. All right. I guess we'll stop there. You guys can take. I'll leave it up. You guys can take pictures and stuff if you want to afterwards. But I think there's some. There were definitely some good. I mean, these are all the problems, but spitting everywhere. There's definitely some interesting ideas here.
Well, I'm a developer. If anybody wants to start a business, I'm not going to start one
Yeah,
myself.
we'll go around the room. I don't know how much. We don't have a whole lot of time. We spend a bunch of time, but we'll go around the room and we'll just do. But to exactly what you were saying, if there's anything that you are name what brought you here tonight. If there's anything that you are looking to get out of the group specifically, like I'm looking for a developer or something like that, just shout it out. And then what we'll add for tonight as a special is what's been your favorite festival that you've been to, just because it's on topic. So I'll start. Luis, co-organizer with Alex. No agenda, just here to have people come together, have a good time, and have interesting conversations. I always love when we do the brainstorming ones because that's more just thinking about stuff differently. Favorite festival, I'll say, the one I brought up before, ACL, where Kings of Leon played the night before it got rained down.
My name's Mark. I'm mainly a graphic designer and illustrator, but I've also done some music production. I'm very interested in music, and I'm just here. I like solving problems and talking about things. And I'm very interested in keeping art and music in the places I live.
Yeah.
So, that's it.
My name is Paul. I'm a full stack developer. You can do front end, back end, database stuff. But I'm also a musician, and I've been coming to this meetup for a couple months now. And the first time I came here, I was surprised at how few musicians were here.
Oh yeah.
I went to school originally for music education. I've been playing trumpet for 20 years, and I play around town. And then I went to school again for web development. So that's kind of why I'm here. I do development as my day job and music as my nighttime hobby. Yeah.
I guess my name's Mario. I used to live in New York actually a couple weeks ago I lived in New York. I was working as a CPA out there, new to Austin. I'm currently in the process of blending my passion for music with how I make a living.
Was accounting?
Excuse me?
With accounting?
No, not accounting. No, absolutely not. Trying to get away from that. But there's a couple projects that I'm working related to music discovery, and the other one, financial stability of up-and-coming artists. So I'm new to the city, trying to meet as many people as I can, and see how we can help each other out.
Cool.
And favorite festival was in Chicago called Rio Fest. It was a mixture of like 90s rock and Spanish bands coming to play.
Nice.
Yeah, very niche festival, hitting on the nostalgia.
I will say that we have HAM here, the Health Alliance for Austin Musicians.
Yeah.
I mean, you could easily be an offshoot of them and just help musicians manage their money.
Also check out Black Fret, which
Black
is a local
Fret.
organization here too, and they try to fund bands their next album. Usually it's for their next album. So what they do is give them creative grants. So they give them some money so that they can just go and just create instead of having to get a second job and that kind of stuff. Check them out.
You said it's
Black Fret.
Black Fret.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm Jared. I moved down here about a couple months ago from New York City. I had been working in the live entertainment industry as general manager for a venue called City Winery. I just started up a boot camp at the GA, not too far from here, so I'm an aspiring full stack developer and also a musician as well. I came here because this is an awesome sounding meetup and it was really cool. My favorite, I think, I don't think I've had a favorite festival, but my favorite sort of like major music event was at Forest Hills in Queens, New York. They have concerts in the old, they took the old like US Open tennis stadium and they made it into a venue.
Oh, cool.
And I saw some great shows there. It was a really interesting experience.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
Cool, my name is Scott. I'm a recent transplant from Los Angeles. I worked in the film business for many years. I'm a publicist by day, and I worked in entertainment technology basically, so visual effects. And so I'm moving into music full time. My reason for coming here is to obviously to network and to because of that entertainment technology background, this seems like a natural extension of that. I don't have a lot of experience with festival going. Maybe it's because of some of those. My wife, getting her out the door is kind of hard. Seriously.
There's lots of opportunities here. in
Yeah.
Austin.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So.
Cool. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
My name is Rennie. I do a lot of different things, but I'm studying to be a research designer, UX, strategy, all the problem solving. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to focus, but that's my hopefully current career transition in the next 6 months. Coming from a background of post-production film in New York. In fact, I worked across the street from City Wineries.
Cool. What's
Um,
happening? What like?
But I've been in Austin's my hometown, so I've been back and forth several times. So, and I do help put on a music festival in Louisiana.
Very cool.
I'm Alex. I am been in Austin for like 6 years or so. I work in big data. I'm a project manager for a company called Kantar. And I think my favorite festival was Hangout Fest in Orange Beach. It's like right on the Gulf Coast, and the festival was on the beach. And 2017, 16. It's just a really cool festival, and my wife's family at that time had a beach house nearby, so we had like a really cool dig set up, and we just walked over every day and hung out on the beach. And
Sounds like this.
it was,
Sounds like
it was
that.
a really good experience. Yeah, no driving, just lots of hanging out.
Seriously, sounds just like you did it.
I mean, it was pretty ideal. And then at nighttime, the beach is just wonderful.
That sounds really fun, actually. Yeah.
What was that festival called?
Hangout Fest? I think it's still going.
I'm Marshall. I currently work in journalism, but I finished data analysis bootcamp at UT a couple months ago, and so I'm looking for my first tech job. What else? I saw, I'm looking to meet a bunch of people in tech, so I saw this event that said tech and music. I'm like, oh, perfect. I love music. One of the projects, I actually created like a side project for myself during the boot camp, just as a way to learn all the stuff we were learning on my own. I created like a data set of my music, ratings and preferences, and like what I like to listen to, and figured out a formula to like rate albums and stuff, just made it up on my own. Because also I'm trying to build a vinyl collection. I'm like, well, what do I prioritize? Anyway, so I made a thing out of that, and so that was really fun. And then favorite festival experience. I've been to ACL twice, and I was at South by one day and saw a few sets. So not too many to choose from, but it's pretty hard to be being at ACL at a festival for the first time, and I never knew oh wow, this is just like amazing, and I just had a great time with everything, with the food and seeing different acts, and for the whole weekend. So
That's great.
it's a great experience.
My name's Adrian. I just moved here 2 months ago. I'm also a full stack developer. I've been attending a bunch of meetups, trying to figure out a side project that I could do, maybe 1 or 2 hours a day, or a side gig, with the right technologies. I guess my favorite festival is probably Electric Daisy Carnival in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to figure out something that I can be passionate about, like a project. Anyway,
there's like 2
Yeah, full
developers that are like,
stack.
I would like to.
Yeah, I'm
work
looking for
on
stuff to do, yeah.
this, like, everyone.
Yeah.
So,
Take advantage of whoever's an
Yeah.
entrepreneur. So sorry, I know that you came in, but
Yeah.
we're just,
Sorry
we're
about
just,
that.
no worries. We're going around the room, so we're just saying name, what brought you to the group. You missed, so we talked about festival stuff and we can recap. But name, what brought you to the group, if there's anything you're looking specifically to get out of the group, and then your favorite festival.
Cool, so my name's Mark. Were we saying how long we were in Austin?
You can, yeah. That always comes up. I don't know why, but it
So,
does.
I've been in Austin this last stretch for 10 years, but on and off most of my life. What brought me here, I've been involved in the technology scene here in Austin since 2009. I was at Google for a long time as a account exec, and then VMware for a long time as an account exec. And then what brought me to this group, I love technology, and I've been a part playing in the music scene in Austin for the past 8 years.
What do you play?
Drums, and then
I'm gonna talk to you later.
awesome. And then also electronic music production, so I took a lot of the classes at ACC for Ableton Live.
Oh, cool, yeah.
Music production. Favorite festival was BPM in Playa del Carmen.
Nice. Great.
And I played that.
It was awesome.
All right, I don't know how much time. I think we have like 10 minutes. There's like nothing left. But now it's time to go mix and mingle. Sorry, Alex.
I'll pull up
Oh, Everfest.
Everfest. We'll see if it has the functionality.
Yeah, let's see.
'cause I-
You said a citywide.
So you're just gonna erase all of this?
No, I'm gonna take a picture. Whoever wants to, yeah, if anyone wants to take a picture of this stuff, grab it.
Nice to
Yeah.
meet you.
I work for
general
I've been cold all day at Capital Factory. It drives me crazy.